Without going into what server templates are, why would you want to share or publish server templates? So over this last year, we've had a lot of our customers who have said, I have all these best practices. I either need to get them to other accounts within RightScale. You're either dividing your accounts up by cost center, so you can keep usage reporting by division and then charge back to those cost centers, or you're dividing up by function. Regardless, you need to take these server templates and push them out to the rest of your organization. We've also had customers that say, I've created some stuff that's not proprietary and I want to share it with the world. So we want to let you do that too. So we'll go through a few different use cases of why you might want to share or publish your server templates. I just spoke about the first one. If you're within an organization, you have these best practices that you want to give to other parts of your organization. For example, in RightScale, we have the production team, the ops team, that creates an all-in-one that developers can use to test their code. And so they maintain that template and they share it into the development environment so that the developers are not in the production environment, but they can make use of templates in the latest scripts to test their code. We have other customers like Lilly who use it to create that IT self-service. So they push only certain templates into certain departments so that people can use only what they need. On the opposite end of the spectrum, we are now giving, as Michael said, we are now giving the ability for anybody to publish to our library. So we've seen a bunch of community templates come up. One in particular is Jetty. We noticed that one of the developers on the Jetty project pushed up a template which lets you spin up the Jetty web server, which is optimized to serve to mobile environments. And then somewhere in the middle of the spectrum, we have our independent software vendors who might want to, in some cases, publish community editions publicly to everybody. And then as they get leads and sign them on as actual customers, they'll share the full paid editions privately with specific accounts. So where do these server templates go? This is a tech talk. One of the specific components in our architecture is what we call the RightScale library. And it holds all the published server templates, the write scripts, multi-cloud images, macros. As we develop more of these design objects, they will be held in the RightScale library. And it specifically takes care of three aspects, some of which I'll go into more detail. Publishing, so sending stuff out to everybody in the world. Sharing, so having specific accounts that you always share to and taking those templates and continually giving those out to specific accounts within your organization. And finally, metering. We record all the usage to give back to you about how the server templates are being used, how many servers are they being used on, how many hours per month are they being run. And that's something that I'll go into in a little bit. Going deeper into the architecture, the library is actually something that allows us to glue together lots of different clouds and regions. So if you have a private cloud, you'll have a piece of RightScale running in your private cloud. If you're operating on multiple public clouds, we have pieces of RightScale operating in all those regions and public clouds. And what the library allows us to do is when you take those best practices and you put them in a server template and you publish them to the library, you can now get to them from any other account, from any other cloud, and bring it down and use it. And I want to go into a certain detail about the library because it is very powerful. It's not just throwing something out there into an open source world and saying, here's the code, use it. There's a lot of tracking and permissioning that goes around behind this. So for example, if you want to use the Jaspersoft template to do reporting, you would import that template and then maybe you clone it, edit it, add some scripts that you might have for maybe your own license for Jaspersoft, or maybe you put some users in the etc password file for your organization. Well, that's a new template, but we still recognize that came from Jaspersoft, and Jasper still sees the usage reporting if you're on a paid template. Even if you take your new template and share it within your organization, we track the whole lineage, and we can tell that new template in a new account is a Jasper template, and they see the usage, so they can bill on that. We even have permissions around the scripts that are inside there. So, for example, if someone takes a template and says, "Oh, maybe I'll publish this out to the library," and inadvertently they realize that they grabbed a script from one of our partners, we'll actually block them and say, no, this is intellectual property of someone else. You can't republish this. You have to remove this script. So there's a decent amount of control that's around the library that you don't normally think about, where we're protecting our partners and our publishers and the organizations from doing anything they shouldn't be doing. A little bit more about the usage that I mentioned. So within organizations, our customers have found it very key to be able to roll up all their reporting. And so you can see that by the app servers. If I look at an app server template, I can see that 4,000 hours were used against this template. So I can even go higher up to the deployments and see how much usage is being done by deployment. And that way I can allocate all my costs down to the server level if I really want to, but most likely the application and department level. If you publish a template, either as a community developer, you'll see who's in aggregate how your template's being used. And if you're an ISV and you're publishing a paid template, you can see by the hour what your customers are using, where they're using this, your templates. And so you can use that to bill them by the hour and essentially cloud enable your software. As I mentioned, we do track the usage of clones, so even if it goes off, even if you modify it to your own best practices, we keep track of all of that so that we know who to bill it back to. That's the library as it exists today. One thing I wanted to point out is we've had a lot of feedback that, okay, well, once I publish it and I'm in another account, I want to see what are the updates that are coming out on these templates that I'm using. And so one of the things that's coming out in the next release is the ability to look at your imports and see what the updates are. So you can go through all your library components. You can see how many servers they're being used on, whether or not they're being used in arrays, what the update is. You can look through the affected servers and arrays. You can actually go ahead and diff what you have versus what's in the library, and try doing that with a virtual machine image. You will not be able to do it. So you go ahead and import that, and then you can pull in just the scripts that you want or update the scripts that you want. It's a very flexible architecture, unlike something like a virtual machine image where you're stamping something into a CD essentially.